What up, watch peeps? Today we're going to be taking a look at a Glycine. Glycine got its start in Swiss watchmaking in 1914. Probably their most famous line is the Glycine Airman, which is a 24-hour GMT. That model was debuted in 1953. One of the more polarizing events in the company's history was their purchase by Invicta, which happened in 1991. But it can't have been all that bad because the Glycine Combat Sub was released in the late 1990s after the takeover. Now I know the Glycine Combat Sub has long been a value proposition in the watch collecting community, but this is actually the first time I've ever handled one. So it's going to be cool to check out. This one is on loan from my boy Kevin at the Wrong Time Watch channel. If you've not checked out his channel, you should go do so. He's one of the good guys in the community. Alright, let's get to it. I'm Pete, and we are chilling with watches. Alright, first things first, wrist check. I am wearing the Natos Sector Explorer. It's the Sector Dive dial in the Natos Sector Field case. And this is the second video I shot today. So you may be seeing two videos pretty close together with the same wrist check and same shirt. Don't think I just wear the same thing every day. Alright, today we're taking a look at this, the Glycine. In a standard cardboard outer box with a hinged inner box with a nice soft feel to it. And this is the model. They have a ton of models of these, and this is the one we have to look at today. Is the blue bezel matte black dialed Combat Sub. Now I gotta tell you, I like this watch out of the box, first impression, a lot more than I thought I would. I didn't think they were bad watches by any means, but I didn't think they were spectacular. But I put this on, and man, is it a lot of fun to wear. Now, it actually came with this, it's canvas. I don't know if you would call it, it's not sailcloth. It's kind of like a leather-backed canvas strap, but it's kind of stiff, and I didn't love it. So I put it on this blue tropic rubber strap. It's actually from a Vostok, but it fit good, and I thought it brought out the blue in the bezel and looked pretty cool. So these come up on, probably the best way to buy these, I don't know, is Mass Drop. I think they pop up on there for around $380 quite frequently, which is an amazing deal when you think that you're getting a Swiss-made, Swiss movement watch. It's really, there's not many competitors other than Steinhardt at that price point. This particular model has standard dots and dash indices along with the 24-hour inner track inside the indices, kind of like a field watch. And a very simple, straightforward baton handset that I actually really like. Not too much text on the dial. I do like that it says Combat. I just think it's kind of cool. Something cool about that, right? And their logo is pretty nice too. I don't think it's applied, but it is almost like a silver paint maybe. Very nice. Alright, so let's unthread the crown. I'll zoom back at it. So it has a nice, easy to grab crown. And there's the crown pop. Very smooth winding, very standard Swiss movement feel. Both crown positions very recognizable when you're maneuvering the crown. Did you see that crisp date flip? Just about at midnight, so that is pretty perfect. That's as close as most get. My Dox actually flips like on the nose, and it's like an insta flip like that. It's so gratifying to watch. All right, let's go a little further before I go messing with the date. But the date position's easy to get into, and it flips real nice. All in all, really easy to operate, easy to manipulate watch. If you look at the crown, it's not only a nice coin edge, but it's almost like bead blasted. You can see it's polished on the edge, but the coin edge part is almost bead blasted, which gives it a really nice grip. Let's check the size on that crown while we're here. 7.2, money. So the overall size of this watch, it's not small. I'm going to try and get the case, which comes in at about 42. And the bezel, that's not always different, but sometimes it is. The bezel's slightly larger, which is good because when you're trying to grip the bezel, you want to be able to grip the bezel first and not have the crown impacted. And if you look from this angle, you can see that the bezel does overlay the crown a little bit, overlay the crown, hangs over the edge of the case a little bit. Now, and if you also notice, it has a nice 60 click bezel, which is one of my favorite things when it's done well and it lines up well. It's so snappy from one position to the next. It's so much more satisfying than a 120 click bezel. And it does line up really well. I kept seeing this, there's like a little nub on the bezel at 12, which I kept seeing and it was protruding. I didn't know what that was at first. I'm not sure what the purpose of that is, but it is there. Now, the lug to lug on these guys, 50.2 I'm getting. It's not small in that department, but you'll see it has a very nice turn down. And if that turn down accommodates your wrist size and shape, you'll get a real nice wear on this. The other thing you can notice from this perspective is how thin it is, right? Which is always a plus. 10.6. That is super thin. One thing that does when you have a watch that thin at 42 millimeters is it gives what Hefe calls a little bit of a dinner plate effect to it. It's very broad and flat, other than the turn down lugs, which I think save the day in this case. But if your wrist at 7 1/4, this watch fits me great. The smaller you go from there, this is not going to fit you that well because of that dinner plate effect. It's just going to sit very flat on top of your wrist. Let's see. It does have a signed crown. Same logo we saw on the dial. And there are not drilled lugs. The lug width is 22 millimeters. Yeah, it is 22. My strap's coming in at 24, but it's 22 millimeter lugs. And I have not tried. I'd like to try one of these models with the bracelet because the bracelet looks like it's pretty good. I don't know what kind of taper is on there. You can see on the dial here 20 atmos of water resistance, which is 200 meters. The bezel insert is a simple aluminum bezel insert with a lume pip. But all in all, I really find this a rather attractive watch with an impressive set of specs for the price. Sapphire crystal. So here it is on my 7 1/4 inch wrist. And as you can see, I think it wears really well on my wrist. And you can see the contours, the size and shape of my wrist with those turn down lugs fits really well. But if the top of your wrist is not as broad as mine, you're going to get some overhang rather quickly. I think you could go down to maybe a 7-inch wrist on this, much smaller than that, and I think that dinner plate effect is going to kick in and make it wear a little awkward. Let's toss it on the time grapher. So as you can see, it is running at a pretty consistent +6. Not bad at all. Very healthy amplitude. Was sitting in there in the 300 range until I started talking, and a really low beat error of 0.1 milliseconds. All in all, running really well, no complaints. Let's get a quick weight on it. On this rubber strap, it is coming in at about 93.5 grams. Totally wearable weight. I'd be interested to see what it weighs on the bracelet, but on the strap, perfectly wearable. All right, let's take a look at it side by side. Some other watches. Here it is with an SKX, the anchor point of universal reference. The SKX is also a 42 millimeter watch, but in a slightly more bulbous package, less flat, more bubbly, more round. The SKX is a taller watch with a smaller dial. Let's go up to the 44 millimeter Seiko Turtle. As you can see, the Turtle is a bigger watch. The cushion case really adding to the size there, but from the bezels in, not much difference. And actually a quite similar wear. I think the Glycine Combat Sub probably wears large. 40 millimeter watch. The only thing I have on hand is the Zelo Swordfish. This is the new one. As you can see, it's bigger than a 40 millimeter. I think proportionally, dial to bezel, these are pretty similar, so this is a fair comparison. And you can see this does wear larger than that. All right, now it is time to
Peep the Lume.
And there it is. This is just standard Swiss Superluminova. It is not C3 or X1 or anything fancy. It's a decent application. It's not spectacular. The hands are brighter than the indices on the dial. When it's not super bright, it is hard to focus on. All right, let's flip the camera back around and wrap this thing up. So there it is, guys, the Glycine Combat Sub. Very cool watch. Really enjoyed my time with it. I could see myself picking one of these up. There are a couple models that have really piqued my interest, and I think it has really well deserved its reputation as a value proposition. It's hard to beat the price, and I don't think you'll be disappointed with what you pay to get one of these. All right, before I let you go, sneaker check. Yeah, wearing the Jordan 4, same as the other video. All right, I'm out. If it's not too much trouble, like, subscribe, and come back next time. Peace.